This week I got to help Adam Kraut with his campaign to get on the ballot for the next run at the NRA Board of Directors. So for those of you unfamiliar, Adam Kraut ran for the NRA Board of Directors in 2018. At the NRA annual meeting, he saw his pins on every other person's lanyard. He had a really strong presence, but for whatever reason, he didn't win the election. So he is now running again for the third time. I learned about this when I listened to Adam's interview on the Three Gun Show podcast with Dave Hartman. So I reached out to him on Instagram and we did a little impromptu live interview on my Instagram profile, and this is a replay. Check it out. Hey everyone, we're going to wait for a second for a few people to come on. Adam Kraut's going to be joining me momentarily, and we're going to be talking about what he needs in order to be able to get on the ballot to run for the NRA Board of Directors. What a lot of people don't know is if you have a problem with the NRA, how they're conducting things, really the best way to go about doing that is to write to and to contact the Board of Directors. They're the ones that hold the other people in the organization accountable. So Adam Kraut's going to be joining us momentarily. I'm going to bring him on, so we'll both be live, and we're going to talk about his last run and what it's going to take in order to get him on the ballot again. There are two ways to get on the ballot, apparently. You get nominated or by petition. And getting nominated by petition is, or getting on by petition is a process. You got to get a lot of signatures, but they're real signatures on a real piece of paper. And this is how we affect change in the NRA. A lot of people aren't happy. The trend with those unhappy right now is that NRA stands for not real activists, right? All right, Adam's going to be joining us. So this is a kind of an impromptu live broadcast, but I've been a fan of Adam's since he started running for the NRA Board of Directors this last year. And he recently made an appearance on my good friend Dave Hartman's podcast, The Three Gun Show, which is basically the only podcast anyone ever needs to listen to. Adam was on, and there are some interesting points made, and so I wanted to do what I can to help Adam collect the signatures necessary for his petition to get on the ballot for the NRA Board of Directors this next run. And Adam, you were. I was starting to explain that why the Board of Directors is so important, and that's really the route one should go if they want to see change in the NRA. Drain the swamp, get rid of the FUDs,
sure.
Stop NRA from meaning not real activists, all that.
Yeah. So the Board of Directors is what actually theoretically controls the organization. The board is the one that's responsible for electing the executive officers that run the day-to-day operations. So the general picture of the board, like any board for a corporation or anything else, is they look at the bigger picture and they set like long-term goals, sometimes short-term ones, policies that they'd like to see the organization pursue and whatnot, and then it all gets turned over to the people that run day-to-day stuff. So one of the biggest things that people kind of miss is that when you have complaints about the organization and what it's doing, those complaints shouldn't be going to the building in Virginia. Those complaints should be going to the board that you guys elect. Because if you're not telling the people that are electing the officers, they're never going to know that you're unhappy with the situation. The reality of it is that NRA now, I think they're boasting 6 million members. It used to be like 5.5. So it's not a small organization at all. On top of that, out of those 6 million, there's 2.2 million voting members. Out of that voting member block, only last year I think there was 136,000 or so ballots cast in the election. So you're talking like 6% of people who can vote in the elections actually vote, which means that not a lot of people are making their voice heard, which translates to, if you guys stay involved and actually participate, your voice could mean a lot more than you think it might, especially with such a low participation rate. So that's kind of like the real 30,000-foot overview, but there's really the big two takeaways from it are, if you have complaints, complain to the board itself, talk to the board members, email the board members, get a hold of them, and you can do that by contacting the secretary's office. The NRA magazine you get in the bottom, I think it's randomly, I don't know if it's a specific page, but it'll tell you how to contact the board directly. So if you have complaints about things that have been done, let the board members know. Start there. Some of them are very good about interacting with people, and others not so much. And you'll know who they are, and then that can help you shape your opinions going forward about those particular board members as well.
Well, I mean, I've seen a lot on Instagram, especially after the Las Vegas massacre, and people talking about banning bump stocks, and the NRA's public statements and positions on that. No one was a fan at that point, right? Left or right of the aisle. The trendy saying NRA means not real activists. There are other great groups out there, but they just don't have the sway the NRA does. They are a big established body. And so, I mean, from what I understand, electing fresh blood to the board of directors is the most effective way to, I guess, drain the swamp.
It's not going to be an overnight process. I mean, there's a couple of things. People, both within the organization and outside the organization, have kind of, in some ways, shaped this as we can't have Adam elected, or Adam's going to come in here and ruin everything. And other people have thought, well, Adam's going to go in there and change everything single-handedly. And that's not the case. There's 76 board
seats. Make the NRA great.
There's 76 board seats, right? I'd be one of 76 people. Just another opinion in there. But the idea is that you start with one person and you continue to find more people that share the same values and beliefs, that are willing to put in the time to run, that you vote for. And over time, you can change that composition, where you can go to people that believe the same things you do, that, you're not supposed to make concessions. It's not even a compromise when you're just giving up something. And I think that's the biggest thing that, as far as the framing of stuff, people say, well, compromise on this, compromise on that. Well, compromise indicates you get something in return. Right? It's not just, well, here you go. The Vegas thing was a good example. I read the statement, and unlike everyone else, I kept my mouth shut for 24 hours and I thought about it. And then I publicly said something, and I don't think that the statement, the way it was worded, was done well. My problem with it was the call for additional regulation. Had they left that sentence out of there and not talked about that, it would have been fine. But once you put something in play that didn't need to be in play, well, what are you doing here?
Right. What part of shall not be infringed does the NRA not understand?
A lot of people don't.
And that's a big problem, right? There's at least a perception that there are a lot of people in the organization that are just the fat old white dude hunters that are like, well, I never needed an AR-15 to do whatever. I mean, my own father says that, like, no gun controls ever stopped me from ever doing what I need to do. And it's this perception that the Second Amendment applies to hunting, right?
Well, that's a perverted perception. I mean, you may be able to hunt with a firearm because of the Second Amendment, but the Second Amendment definitely wasn't designed to preserve your right to hunt.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. I think most of the people, at least in my following, that would be watching this, would agree with that. And those that don't, I have no idea why they're following me. So
I've got the same problem.
So. Everybody, if you want to check out Adam Kraut and what he stands for, go to his Instagram page. I don't want to spend a lot of time there just for this live feed. Adam aligns with my values, and he would be one more voice, one more step in the right direction on this board. And I stood behind him in the last election, and I want to help him get on the ballot again. What does it take to get a petition filled to be even considered on the ballot for this election? It is a tedious process. If you could explain that, certainly there would be a few of the people that watch this who would be willing to actually print out a piece of paper and write on it
Yeah, I know. The amount of effort that goes into it is insane. So it used to have to be printed on legal size paper the first time I did this, so they made it a little easier. So the bylaws changed last year. This year, I need 651 signatures from life members or annual members the past 5 consecutive years to be put onto the ballot. You can download the petition packet off my website, adamkraut.com. There's a button right at the top that says download the petition packet. There's an instruction sheet in there. It tells you where to find your NRA membership number if you don't know it off the top of your head. If you need to call membership services, it has the phone number in there for you as well. I tried to make it as easy as possible. You are going to have to print it out. Please follow the instructions. Mail it to me. I know it sucks. It's a little bit of a pain, but that's the only way that somebody can get onto the ballot.
Licking an envelope, it's going to a
I know. Oh, believe me, this is, like I said, this is round 3 of this stuff for me. So, and the fascinating part is there's some people out there, including some board members, that say, well, the petition process, there's no vetting the candidate for it. Well, if I have to get 651 signatures from people, I'm pretty sure I got to show them that I'm worth something. Not so much. It's not just like, hey, sign this for me. People need a reason to do it. So. You can find that over at adamkraut.com. You can follow me on Instagram here, on Facebook as well as another place. And then the Gun Collective is, where we're constantly doing things as well.
Awesome. Thanks, Adam. And if you guys haven't checked out the gun stuff, they're also, you guys have an Instagram. I've just watched it on YouTube.
Yeah, it's the Gun Collective on Instagram. Yep.
So, well, thanks, Adam. I don't want to take up too much of your time. I know you've got stuff going on, but hopefully this will reach a few more people and get you a few more signatures that help you reach that goal. I definitely want it for you. So one more step towards the right direction and actually doing something to preserve and or restore the glory of the Second Amendment. So
thanks for your time. I appreciate you having me on here.
My pleasure. Talk to you again soon.
So some key takeaways. If you don't like what's going on with the NRA right now, the only way to affect real change is to reach out to the board of directors and let them know, because they're the ones that hold the rest of the body accountable. And if they're not doing that, then we need to change who's on the board of directors. And true, Adam's only 1 possible seat out of 76, but you got to do it 1 election at a time, 1 person at a time. So take a look at who's running, take a look at who you think best represents you as a member of the NRA, and let's get the NRA back to representing the Second Amendment and what it actually stands for.